welcome to Distract TV. I'm Natasha and we're here at London Fashion Week. Right now we're at the International Fashion Showcase, so let's go and see what they've got in store today. Hi, we're here with Distract TV at the International Fashion Showcase, and here we have Ken's wonderful designs from the Philippines, so he's going to talk us through them. So what's your main inspiration?
Well, actually I'm a marine biologist by profession, so everything that you see is I have referenced the ocean and the underwater as my inspiration.
Great, so what's your favorite piece here?
This one is a favorite of mine because it represents the underwater, the tentacles, and the corals. So I guess this would be it.
It's very beautiful. So what do you see yourself doing next?
On the 24th, I will be in Milan because I was selected as one of the Vogue Italia's Emerging Talents for 2014 for accessories. So I'll be showing my collection on Palazzo Morando with no other than Franca Cesani.
That's amazing, congratulations! These pieces are amazing on their own, but what is it that you want to do next?
Well, I want to venture into home accents eventually, do sculptural pieces for home. Basically, that's it.
So interesting. So you're interested in sort of the more artistic side rather than the fashion?
Well, at this point, I can say that I'm more interested in fashion, but I don't want it to restrict me to other avenues. Yeah.
It's so fascinating that you're a marine biologist as well. How do you fit them in together?
Well, actually that's one question that I've been asking myself also, because I didn't know how I got into fashion because I'm the least fashionable person, or I don't have any idea about fashion, but I guess when destiny calls, you just have to answer it, right?
Well, for someone who doesn't know much about fashion, you're doing pretty well so far. Thank you. So we're here with Micheline, also from the Philippines, and she's going to talk us through her amazing accessories collection. So Micheline, these are your favorite pieces, am I right?
Yes, these are the star pieces of my collection for IFS because they're based on Filipino folklore. So actually these are hand-carved bags and they're oil painted, so they're entirely handmade. But I've come up with this technique that simulates ceramic or porcelain or even marble or stone.
Yeah, I thought they were porcelain, but they're amazing.
These, I'm also using repurposed bathroom fixtures. So this is like from the shower cord. This is made from solid wood. It's actually made out of a solid tree trunk. I use trees that have fallen during typhoons because the Philippines is located on a main typhoon belt. So we get a lot of those, and you know, I don't like to see trees go to waste. So I like to make them into new things that can go on, you know. So this is actually based on a creature in Philippine folklore called the Tiyanak. It's a demon child. So as you can see, it's a two-sided bag. You have the child face and then you have the demon face on the other side. Yeah. I try to be pretty humorous when it comes to my work.
It's amazing, honestly. I'm completely in love with it. So are these other pieces yours as well?
Mine as well, and I try to use a lot of recycled materials. So the wood for this is century-old wood from railroad tracks, and then I use prefabricated stainless steel hardware, so it's like a fusion of old and new. I love the combination.
The Filipino collection is probably one of the most impressive. You're doing amazingly as a group. So which of the other designers are you liking at the minute?
I'm very impressed with the collection of Spain. Yeah, and Poland. Actually, there's so many. It's a wonderful experience to be here because we get exposed to all these other cultures that otherwise we wouldn't be able to to really know about.
And what's next for you, Micheline? What do you want to do next?
Well, this is actually my first time in Europe. It's the first time I'm showing abroad, so I'm hoping that this opens more doors for other opportunities.
I'm sure it will because your pieces are amazing. Hi Tony, so we're here in front of your collection and it's amazing, but can you tell us a bit more about your inspiration?
Thank you. I was really inspired by macro photography of insects, particularly with this piece. When you zoom in real close with insects, you can see all the fibers and the hairs you've never seen before when you're looking at them from a very far point of view.
And they're very sheer.
Yeah, as a collective concept of the Philippines, we are looking into Philippine folklore. So the creature I've been inspired of was the Encanto. It's a kind of demon creature that comes from forests and lures people in and traps them. But basically, for them to do that, they shapeshift, and so I combined the different elements of animals and forest feels. So for this piece right here, it looks like wood, bark, but then it also looks like feathers, like birds. So it's melding and mixing everything. Yeah.
Who would be your dream client? Who would you love to dress?
It would be such a good thing for me to be dressing Lady Gaga, of course. But then I'm not really sure if it's her style right now because she's changing. I also love Bjork. People like that, yeah.
And we're sort of interested in the relationship between fashion and music. What sort of music do you listen to when you're designing and being creative?
Yeah, actually, just this morning I was listening to the new songs of Daphne Guinness. If you've heard her songs, it's really very Bowie-esque. And she's really gone far in representing designers who have expressed their artistry in really uncommercial ways. So I really like her.
And do you do any of that? Do you have any uncommercial ways about you?
Well, for now, of course, I'm just starting my brand, so I'm getting the image across of what I'm about. So after that, I will be making it very wearable, but still retaining the technique and the intricacy of the details.
With Jaggies collection, and it's quite impressive. It's full of knitwear and beautiful intricate pieces, but can you talk us through the 3 looks that you've got here?
Generally, all the 3 looks are revolving around the idea of the aswang, or the mythical creature of the Philippines, which is a shape-shifting monster, and it's a man-eating monster actually. But aside from that, I would like to focus on women and the empowerment that they have during that time, because just to give you a little view of what the collection is about, the era where women are more empowered. Filipinas were ostracized during the pre-colonial Spanish period, and they were ostracized. They were called names like witches, like monsters and stuff, so that they could be stripped of the power in the society. And some of them are even ostracized, like some of them are raped or tied on a boat to be eaten by crocodiles. So that's how bad it is. So, but then let's not focus on that. I would like to create a good picture of how women are empowered during these days, and I'd like to reconcile on the past experiences and the history of the Filipina women, and then celebrate it through these clothes. Yeah.
What do you see yourself doing next?
I hope I get a lot of following after the International Fashion Showcase, and basically the move is to do pieces that are less conceptual, but then are very wearable knitwear pieces. But then I would just like also to mention that all of the 3 pieces are organic knitwear, so they use organic fibers such as that of pineapple, cotton, water lilies, and jute. So they employ organic fibers in this kind of knitwear. So that's also a direction that we're trying to tackle.
Some of the other collections are very much into reusing organic materials and stuff like that. So, but what's your view on European fashion?
I love European fashion. I mean, in the Philippines, you don't get to wear a lot of pieces because it's really hot. And you know, to be in London and do pieces for this kind of market is really challenging, because we don't do this a lot. But then it's also very enjoyable because we get to do a lot of pieces. And I see the European fashion, you know, I don't know if knitwear is still really big in the European scene, but then I can see that organic knitwear would be very good thing for the European market, because I think everyone, like Stella McCartney, wants to do sustainable fashion, and I think that's a very good path that the fashion industry should go to.
Well, thank you very much for talking to us today. So we're here with Jean and his amazing collection. So I just really want to know, what has inspired it?
Well, generally the country is inspired by folklore, Philippine folklore, and a lot of us chose the very dark mythical creature. She's a female shape-shifting creature. She goes under children's beds, and you know, basically the stuff you tell people to get them to sleep early. And we tried to put a little bit of couture in there, and the curator of the exhibition actually told every designer to step it up a little and like make unwearable, over-the-top versions of what your brand is like. But there are hints, I think, of wearable pieces in this collection or in every other collection. I'm basically into silhouettes, and if you look at this cape, this is actually a handmade feather. This is not a real feather. It's made of a plastic fabric called organza, and we put fishing line to make it look like a real feather. So that's thousands of plumes over there to create this really rigid cape. But underneath, you have a laser cut scale fabric. This is actually the thrust of my company. We make wearable, sexy dresses like this. So it expands and contracts with you. So it's like a one-size-fit-all dress. So yeah.
It's beautiful. So we were talking about what we thought your inspiration was, and I can see a bit of Galliano, a bit of Christopher Kane, maybe a bit of McQueen, but who do you think is your biggest inspiration?
When I was studying in fashion school like 15 years ago, I would read about John Galliano and Alexander McQueen, definitely the Brits. Yeah, because they took you away from the mundane, from what you learn in school even, which is like sleeves and collars and darts. And they tried to introduce a new way of thinking, a new way of seeing things, and it inspires you as a young designer. And I don't think these two designers, these two great masters, will ever be matched.
Maybe, you never know. You never know. And what do you think it is that is giving the Filipino design scene such amazing clout at the minute? It's a wonderful collection.
I think it's the crazy weather. We don't have winter. You know, Filipinos, we don't actually change the way we dress 4 times a year. It's just summer and that's it. So we crave fashion more than any other country. We have summer all year long and it's so boring. So here, Filipinos who come here, when you actually look outside the street, I'm staying here in Soho, and I was like always gawking at people in their beautiful colors, the wools, the leathers, the gloves and hats and shoes, and I am always in awe. I mean, people actually think about what they're gonna wear before they step out. Because in the Philippines, as long as you don't sweat, you're good.
That's fascinating. I never thought about it like that.
That's something you take for granted.
Thank you so much for talking to us.